There is such a class of people. When you are in a relationship with him, as long as you ignore him, he can always bear not to find you. He prefers to be alone. He may seem a little cold on the surface, but in fact empathy is particularly strong. Your feelings he can understand and can give some appropriate response. When chatting with you, they favor typing and not calling. Many times, even if they are angry, they will not show too obvious. He will be obsessed with his partner's absolute favoritism in the relationship and has a little bit of perfectionist tendency towards the relationship. This kind of person is the mbti 16 personality type INFP personality, also called the mediator personality. Many people may think that INFPs are not suitable for marriage because they are very idealistic, insecure, independent, don't like to socialize, don't like to bother others, and only focus on their own career and life. And this kind of distant and close relationship will make you feel unloved. But in fact, once an INFP chooses someone and enters into a relationship, his partner will feel the purest and firmest love in the world. And the reason why they show such traits has something to do with their family of origin. And what kind of family raises an INFP? First of all, I think it's the one where the parents have a less harmonious relationship and the personalities are very different. It's that part of the reason why the INFP is going to exhibit a mediator personality is because of the parental relationship in the home when he was a child. It may not have been particularly harmonious, and then there was a lot of friction and conflict in his life. One of the parents is very strong and emotionally unstable, often angry, and even often have some verbal disputes, which led to INFP's upbringing, which became very turbulent. As a result, INFPs grew up feeling desperate and scared because of their parents' relationship. In order to protect themselves, they have to learn how to regulate their parents' relationship, watch their words, and even act as emotional garbage cans for both parties, which makes them very cautious. INFPs who grow up in this kind of stressful family environment are very afraid of conflict and arguments and have a high level of empathy. So when you're spending time with an INFP, you'll feel very comfortable because they're very helpful and very good at listening, and they don't like to keep things from others. It's just preferring to suffer a little bit yourself and being afraid of getting into conflict with others. The second thing is that one of the parents is very good at invisible control. So a lot of people think that INFPs must have a family of origin that's lacking in love, but in fact it's not entirely true. There are INFP families that don't lack love, but still raise INFPs. Why? Because these parents, although they will provide a good material foundation for their children, seem to be very tolerant to their children, but in fact there is a strong invisible control in it. They don't respect their children's behavior and decisions. What they lack is not love, but respect and understanding. It's a sense of emotional boundaries. Let's say your parents ask you what you want to drink, milk or Coke, and you happily answer, I want Coke, but your parents say that milk is better for your body, and so they choose milk for you straight away. On the surface, it looks like they are letting you make your own choices, but in reality they don't respect your choices. Another example is that your parents give you permission to play with your cell phone, but when you really want to play, they talk about you in a shady way. Or they may say on the surface that it doesn't matter if you get good grades or not, just be happy, but if you really don't get good grades, they may show great indifference and disappointment. So you grow up in a family that is open-minded on the surface, but restrictive in every way, and you don't dare to express any ideas. Because no matter what you say or do, you will end up being interfered with and denied. Then you might as well do what your parents expect you to do, in exchange for a respite of time. This in turn leads to grown-up INFPs who have a weak sense of inner purpose and responsibility and insufficient internal drive, the most intuitive manifestation of which is procrastination and choice phobia. Encountering things like to avoid, because he was suppressed from childhood this kind of emotion, there is no way to release. So the habit of this negative emotions are stored in the bottom of the heart. Then sensitivity, low self-esteem, internal conflict, screwed up and perfectionist tendencies, often accompanied by his choice of left and right. What is the third point? Parents provide adequate care. This is also a relatively normal situation in some INFP's family of origin. They have not encountered much emotional abuse and neglect, and they may even have received this kind of care that borders on spoiling, but it is because of this kind of environment that the INFP grows up with more than enough access to the outside world. Then at this time, he turns his attention inward, for example, and begins to think about more abstract things. He pays more attention to his own consciousness and inner feelings. They even start thinking about some philosophical questions, such as what I am, what death is, the meaning of human life, and so on. Although they may not have the means to understand, these contents do affect them. Even their outlook on the world and relationships when they grow up will be influenced by this. That's why in INFPs, most personalities are more independent. They would rather be by themselves than unintentionally socialize. The reason for this is that they are actually very rich on the inside, and they choose their spouse based on whether or not the person's inner self is compatible with them. They seldom pay attention to the other person's external conditions, so you are in a relationship with an INFP. Sometimes you will feel very painful because they are very independent in the relationship and their response to your emotions is limited. But they are also very rich in spirit, and this communication in the spiritual world that they crave requires you to follow their thoughts and feelings. Of course, there are also some INFPs who are very unloved and insecure, and they don't show it. They are very restrained on the surface, and then the inner waves are raging. So instead, they present a series of avoidant personality traits. But once you enter into a relationship with an INFP, or you are firmly chosen by an INFP, then you will likewise experience this sense of romance and determination that is unique to the INFP. Because this feeling is a very exclusive and pure love,